Imagine waking up to find your entire Instagram presence, your photos, your private messages, and years of activity suddenly out of your control. You didn't click a suspicious link. You didn't fall for a phishing scam. Someone simply sent a message to a chatbot and asked to change your account's recovery email. Between April and June of 2026, this scenario played out for at least 20,225 people. The compromise was absolute. The attackers gained full access to direct messages, linked profiles, and private contact information, effectively becoming the new owners of the accounts. This campaign reveals a significant friction between the internet's legacy security protocols and the new conversational features being bolted on top of them. We have the specific numbers because of a mandatory state filing. Meta submitted a data breach notification to the Maine Attorney General detailing the exploit. In that document, Meta confirmed that the vulnerability lived within an AI-assisted account recovery system they had built for Instagram. The striking part of this breach wasn't the sophisticated code involved. It was the fact that it required almost no technical skill to execute. Under standard conditions, a password reset is a closed loop. When you request a reset, the system checks its database to confirm your identity and sends a link only to the registered email address on file. That database check is the hard barrier. If the email you provide doesn't match the one the system has, the request is rejected immediately. To make this process more user-friendly, Meta integrated an AI chatbot into the recovery pipeline to help people having trouble accessing their accounts. But there is a logic gap here. Traditional security is built on rigid, binary rules. Large language models, however, are designed to be helpful, responding to user prompts with as much compliance as possible. When you connect a naturally compliant chatbot to a strict security system, you create a point of failure where the AI might prioritize being helpful over following the safety rules. The hackers found exactly where that failure point was. They would open a chat and provide the bot with an email address that had never been associated with the target account. Meta later admitted the chatbot was operating on a separate code path. On this specific path, the system failed to run the database verification check. Because the AI wasn't told to verify the address against the database, it simply generated a password reset link and handed it over to the attacker's email. At this stage, the system essentially recognized the hacker as the legitimate owner of the account. The only thing that stopped this process was two-factor authentication. If 2FA was enabled, the exploit was blocked, regardless of what the chatbot did. The attackers didn't need to break down a door. They just found an assistant who was willing to let them in the back way. Meta eventually disabled the recovery chatbot and deleted the code path that allowed the bypass. They then began notifying the 20,225 impacted users, forcing them to re-authenticate through traditional, secure channels. This breach occurred while Meta was aggressively pushing AI across its platforms, even as it laid off thousands of employees who might otherwise have been testing these new systems for flaws. It's a clear example of the risks inherent in the AI hype cycle. When speed of deployment is prioritized over fundamental testing, major security blind spots are almost inevitable. The ultimate defense against this AI-driven attack was a simple, manual security measure: two-factor authentication. Even when the chatbot handed the hackers a valid reset link, they were stopped because they didn't have access to the victim's secondary device or physical security key. As corporations continue to expose their backends to conversational AI, two-factor authentication is the only reliable barrier standing between a hijacked conversation and a hijacked identity.